Well, yeah, so that was my next question, because I've talked to different promoters in nightlife who've said, yeah, like things are shifting, as you're talking about, towards festivals, more of those like experiences as opposed to the traditional club VIP experience. I mean, is that dynamic like very unique to San Diego, or is that like pretty much like anywhere you go on the West Coast, or even beyond the West Coast, like in the country? Like is that kind of like how things are changing in general, or is this like a very like San Diego problem?
I think it's everywhere. I think festivals are the way to go. There's just longer days, more of an experience. People are traveling to do it. There's a full day of events as opposed to just going at night and experiencing the nighttime. So more of an experience than just going for one night, spending way too much money on alcohol, seeing one very short show. This is more of seeing a grouping of shows, and then at the end you see your big DJ that you want to see, and you go home or you go do what you do afterwards. But hopefully people go home safely.
One more question on this topic before, and I know I'm kind of beating dead horse here, but one more question is just like on that note of people like shifting the experience, clubs and nightlife shifting the experience towards festivals, towards these like experience formats, like and away from the traditional VIP stuff. Like, do you see that as like probably just the way things are inevitably going to go, or do you see that as like sort of just like a fluctuation, like times change and that'll change too?
That's another good question. I think over time everything has its own periods that evolve into something, and see where it kind of grows the industry in a different way. So with nightlife in general, it always started as the big room full of people going to the bar, experience-based scenario. Then bottle service came in, kind of disrupted the whole scene. That became the big go-to, and then it's kind of de-evolving back into what it was 70s, 80s, when it was more like the disco era, when it's just a big room, no VIP table, stuff like that. So it's interesting. It will be interesting to see how it evolves, de-evolves, or time just repeats itself.
Sure. One question is like, San Diego nightlife pretty well, both from your experience working here and just like the connections you've made. So is there anybody in San Diego, like any like CEOs, like club directors, managers, who you feel like are doing it the right way? Because we've kind of talked about like sort of the lack of energy, enthusiasm, like that's like kind of creating this like shifting dynamic, this almost like devolving of the quality of service. But is there anybody that is sort of doing it the right way, that is like sort of doing things in a positive way that you see?
Everyone really does something different or tries to be different to create a new vibe, the shiny new toy effect. So certain people are doing hip hop, certain people are doing the more of the festival size venue. Some people are trying to go with the ultra lounge and make it more of an experience or a smaller setting, intimate scenario. So it's hard to say who's doing it right, who's doing it wrong. Everyone seems to be pretty successful. It has shrunk down to, just a key group of venues now. So those guys must all be doing it right in their own respect.
Sure. I was hoping you'd give a shout out to Josh, Hoffman, legendary group.
Yeah, of course. Well, Josh is doing everything that he can to be as dynamic as possible and switch the game up. And he doesn't own the one venue. He's everywhere. And since he is everywhere, the vibe that he creates is what is keeping those big venues in business. So that's, 100%. Of course, Josh is the guy for sure.
He's one year coming up, by the way, on the anniversary of his company, Legendary Group, and we're really proud of him and the work he's doing. So one last question on the nightlife stuff is, you've met a lot of performers. You talked about, Calvin Harris and like seeing him perform. Is there any like performer over the years, or it could be like a hip hop artist, could be an EDM guy, could be a DJ, who like really stood out to you, like who you personally met, maybe had a conversation with, somebody who really stood out to you positively or negatively? Either way.
There's a lot of that too. I don't know. Steve Aoki's always been a very nice guy, easy to talk to, friendly, gets so involved with the crowd. It's always been fun to see like what different show he's going to put on, whether it's handing out pizzas from his new pizza place or throwing pies in people's face. But he's always just a pleasure to speak with and be around. There's, as far as negative goes, I think Carnage once again. It was a very long time ago, but usually we have to limit the alcohol intake to make sure that we're not dealing with the repercussions.
Too much carnage
of the crowd. Yeah, too much carnage. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely.